What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to review episodes 1 through 3 of Twisted Metal Season 2. I hope to be able to do this throughout this entire ride. We got several weeks to go, and I'll tell you, this was an interesting start to the season. I didn't really see it coming, and by the end of it, I literally just finished watching episode 3 and then hit record. I feel pretty good about it. I think it's a relatively slow start in episode 1, and it slowly kind of gains its footing. And by the end of episode 3, I was smiling away. When Quiet and Mayhem are driving in the car, listening and singing music, I had just a huge smile on my face. And then I realized, oh, you know what? It's back, and it's still really, really good. I think the thing is just, you advertise this season as like the actual Twisted Metal tournament, and definitely I think it's going to take a while. What I don't want to happen is this tournament to happen like in the last episode. I believe the last 3 episodes dropped the same day, so maybe that will be the entire tournament, but I really hope it's roughly half, or maybe like the last 5 episodes. I know like just blowing up cars is very hard to make like 5 episodes on, but I hope they find like a creative way of doing it. And with that being said, you almost kind of work in reverse. You say, okay, you got to have the setup to it. And I mean, you could think season 1 was the setup. There's a little bit more to go. And I think they, again, started slow. They have to do the new Raven stuff. I actually think they spent way more time on that than I thought they were going to. Like, they explained the Nev Campbell thing. And right now, it's a little interesting because, like, they're definitely doing more of the game now. And, like, the look definitely represents it. I mean, the age difference, this Raven, I think the actress that plays her is only around 10 years younger than Nev Campbell. So it's not like the most massive change of all time. Again, definitely the looks are different and more in line with the game. And then the storyline is more in line with the game. But, they had to focus on that a little bit. And that was it. That's literally like you see Raven in episode 1 and then she doesn't come back. Even Sweet Tooth is fun, definitely fun, okay? And I think there's a lot of potential for him to keep going, but not used almost at all. I mean, the first 3 episodes are almost squarely on John, Quiet, and I guess Mayhem now as well, and then Dollface. I mean, that's a really good group, by the way. I think Quiet picks up immediately where she left off. Anthony Mackie just has such a great like persona to him, like just the energy really comes out of him, and I think he works so freaking well as that character. So I really think both of them, to be honest with you, pick up exactly where they leave off. There's a lot of great jokes, and they're dynamic. Really, both their dynamics with anybody, they're kind of the standout, and then when they're together, they rock, right? So, I mean, you had all that. Mayhem, I think, is awesome. I think she's a really, like Sweet Tooth is definitely comedic relief, but there is like a box you kind of put him in because he is absolutely insane, and, he kind of goes one direction, with what he does. And with Mayhem, a girl, smaller, younger, and also just a little bit more like can go all over the place. Like you can tell there is some seriousness to her, but there's also just the sarcastic jokes, like the digs, the cleverness of her character. So I think that's a really great character that I wonder what's going to happen, because like you think, well, she's going to enter the tournament and are they going to kill a bunch of people off? I mean, that's like a 2-3 week away issue, I suppose, but it almost gets me thinking, like, is this a whole season long setup to make her awesome and very lovable, and then you kill her off, which would be a very heart-wrenching moment specifically for Quiet, right? Because they're kind of pals now. But, a lot of this stuff is built up. I think they did such a great job there. Axel, they freaking nailed the comedy around Axel, and freeing him, from his being captive, I guess, right? That was awesome. Mr. Grimm, I thought, was super cool, whether it was the design, whether it was the scythe, on the motorcycle, also how other people view him, right? So the first couple times you see it, he sucks the souls from the body, right? And I love it. But then, like, when Quiet and Mayhem see him, he's actually doing nothing, right? He's pretty deranged, and he's just imagining the whole thing. But it's like in his head, he's taking those people and taking their personalities, right? Because then he acts like them and can kind of turn them on and off. So, again, like, I think this show just continues to do such a good job of playing around. Now, this one's a little bit more on the nose than season 1. Now you're introducing Axel and Mr. Grimm and more to come. So you're nailing more of the game, but they kind of can play around, right? You can kind of do what you want. want. And it's like, in this universe, does it make sense to suck souls from bodies? Not really. But I mean, it kind of fits personality types, but for it to actually happen probably doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay, so it's good that he thinks he's doing it, but he's really not. I think that's perfect. Axel, that's perfect. He's a mad scientist type experiment. He is able to disassemble, from his vehicle, but he's just really, really strange when he does it. He drinks gas, all that jazz. I think they did such a good job there, and just overall a lot of fun. There were moments, like I think it was episode 2, Quiet and John fight, like kind of cave people like things, and I think the cinematography there was pretty darn bad. I don't know if it was actually them doing like the fight sequence. I talk a lot about, I'm a martial artist at heart, and I've done that a very long time, and I was critical of like certain things of Cobra Kai and stuff, and I think what that really just showed me is like, I do think they're pretty selective with the budget. I don't think this is the highest budgeted show. It's also a show with cars and special effects and larger than life type characters, and also like the cast, specifically maybe Anthony Mackie, like, they probably don't, they're not free, right? So you have to pay a little. So I think you kind of just see the back and forth of like, okay, the budget was probably not on that fight, because that fight did look pretty bad. But okay, well, where is the fight? Well, I think Sweet Tooth continues to look great. I think the cars continue to look great. Again, what they've done with like an Axel and Mr. Grimm, you can tell in certain circumstances or shots, really, certain frames of scenes where it's like, okay, they really threw this together on probably next to no budget for that shot. But overall, you know what? It looks pretty good. Like, I think they're doing a very good job. So, I mean, in conclusion, it's still fun. It's still funny. And I think it nailed what season 1 did so consistently, and I think so surprisingly, is it's got that entertainment, it's got that fun factor, it respects the games enough, and it plays around with them that you can kind of appreciate, but also has heart. And that's something, we didn't even mention in this review. Huge parts of these episodes, John and Quiet, and kind of going through that, but then also really, the self-reflection of John still not being able to remember, and him going back and forth with his sister and kind of having breakthroughs like in their relationship. I think they did an extremely good job, and that's what episode 3, episode 3 had the action, had the callbacks, it had the jokes, it had the serious moments. People were taking outlets. I won't spoil who, but like a lot happened in episode 3, and then there was also, they managed to counter that with some heart to heart. They had a lot of conversations, 2 people just sitting in a car and talking, and I think that is really what season 1 did so well that I did not expect going in, because it's like, it's Twisted Metal. The trailers going into season 1 didn't look very good, and I think that's what they nailed so well, is there was heart, there was emotion, these characters felt real, even in that universe, and that was a huge part of it, because again, you probably couldn't make an entire 10-12 episode season on just cars blowing each other up. Honestly, especially because, again, the budget is not all that extreme. That they did a race, I think, in episode 2, and I mean, that wasn't all that impressive of a race, and that's okay. Even the fights, I think they're cool because of the callbacks and the game kind of references. You're not watching, honestly, you're not even watching maybe Fast and Furious. You're not watching a Tom Cruise, like Mission Impossible or whatever. Like, the budget's smaller, but there's a lot of heart in the car chases, but you still couldn't have a whole season just on that. You have to have character moments. You have to have jokes. You have to have kind of personality. And I think that it started slow, definitely. Like, episode 1 is probably not how I would have done it, and I think it was definitely a slower start. I'm not super pleased with them breaking it up because, again, there is a worry still of like, okay, how far do we have to wait for the actual tournament, which is what the trailers, the entire thing was on the tournament. And I'm getting afraid, especially where episode 3 leaves it. 4 and 5, there's no way you're starting it there. Maybe 6 and 7, and then if not, you expect kind of the rest at some point, to get into the tournament. So again, I can appreciate what they're doing. I do think they're doing a pretty darn good job, if not great job. It's just, let's not take too long to get to, again, the point of the show that you didn't do in the first season. You did the last episode, and it was really, really cool, and that's okay. You did a lot of things right. Let's do those things again, and then let's get to the tournament maybe sooner rather than later. That's just, my opinion on it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and hope to see you all on the next one.